welcome to the Poppy Library, and this is Knit Talk, where I talk about all the knitting things that I've been doing, project updates, everything like that. And when I first learned to knit, I would watch a lot of these vlogs, or as knitters call them, they call them podcasts, of just knitters sharing their stories about what they've been knitting, things that they've learned, things that they've acquired. It really helped open my eyes to the world of knitting without having to go to the little yarn shop, which wasn't available during quarantine. But also, since I'm slightly an introvert when it comes to meeting new people, it was just easier for me to just watch YouTube as I would be knitting or trying to learn how to knit and watch YouTube. And anyway, yeah, so I hope that, you know, if you are new to knitting, or if you are a intermediate knitter, that you find this enjoyable, all those things. So let's get started. First, I do want to talk about my ongoing projects. I am typically a monogamous knitter. I like to say that a lot, but I have broken that cycle, and I started knitting a shawl while I was in the middle of my Talvinen sweater, which I'll show progress on that. I decided while visiting California that I wanted to knit up a shawl. I don't have a shawl in my wardrobe, and I've always wanted to try it. And I brought some extra yarn with me from my stash on this trip, and decided that this would be a really good time to just maybe start it, see if I thought it was a small or large project. What I wanted to find out with this project is if shawls would take longer or shorter amount of time than like a sweater, fingering weight sweater. It's definitely shorter, but it's not a fast project that you can just like whip up in a week, or at least the one that I'm doing, because I'm doing brioche, which is probably why I can't whip this up in a week. But I do really enjoy it. So this is it so far. This is the contrast color side, and I'm using just a 2-ply wool yarn in the white color, and then this is the main color side, where I'm using Spin Cycle yarns dyed in the wool, which is their fingering weight base, in the color Castaway, which is kind of telling because I did cast this on by the beach. I don't know, I thought it was meant to be. So I am going to the beach this weekend, and I was hoping that it would be done. Not that it's going to be cold or anything. I live in godforsaken Texas here, and it's hot still. It is cooling off, but it's still hot, so wearing wool isn't really the best. However, I do remember going to the beach, getting really hot and sweaty, and because it's hot, and then coming inside in the AC, it does feel cold. So I think I'll still be able to at least put it around my shoulders, or be okay to knit it while it's sitting on my lap. As we know, wool can get very hot when it's on your lap, which is why I haven't done so much knitting this summer. I've taken a break while it's been really hot, which is something that I learned about myself. So, things that I've learned about this so far. So I am using circular needles. My yarn doesn't get caught where the needle meets the cord, which is great. That's really annoying, especially if you're pushing up your stitches. If one gets stuck on that little space right there, the Chiagos do really well. And I've just obsessively bought all of them in all the sizes and all the lengths. And so I will say this is a 40 inch, I believe it's 40 inches, 40 inch cord, and I wish I would have gone longer. As you can see, like, the stitches are kind of bunching up here, so it does get kind of like hard to go with the flow. Like, it won't, I have to push the stitches because they'll just kind of get stuck in some areas. But another thing that one thing that I learned while doing this is that brioche does take a little bit more time, I guess. It's my first shawl, so I don't know. But you are kind of like doing one row in one color, and then the next row you're bringing your other color over, so it can do like this reversible stitch design as Brioche does. And like I said, it's not a short project. It is taking longer than I thought a shawl would, but at the same time it's not a terrible project. It's really enjoyable because it's brioche, and then I have you know, my main color yarn changes colors, which is really nice, and it's just kind of magical to see all those colors changing while you're knitting. And so the piece just evolves, and it keeps it very interesting. I am using sport weight. It's really fluffy. What I've heard other knitters say is that sport weight is squishy when you just, I feel like I've heard that from a whole bunch of people. I will say it is very squishy, which is kind of nice. I don't have a squishy piece that'll go around my neck. I've always just knit cowls, or no, just cowls. I've only knit cowls so far, so it'll be nice to have a shawl. I don't have any scarves. I haven't done that yet. But overall, this Dandelion Field Shawl by Knit Graffiti is really enjoyable. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I'm glad I finally got to try it as a new beginner in brioche. I've only knit one other brioche piece. It's very like satisfying when you're knitting this and you finally get to see like the reversible pattern and what the two different colors do. I find it very enjoyable. This will not be my last brioche piece. I did see, I believe it's Sandy Peters just came out with a new brioche shawl, and it looks great, and it's going to be my next one, so I'm very excited about that. Before the summer started, I had started knitting the Talvinen sweater by Caitlin Hunter, also known as Boylan Knitworks, and I found that I really enjoy color work. I've knit one of her other sweaters. I think it's called the Jupiter sweater, or Juniper, and what I took away from knitting color work, especially around the yoke area, which is this area right here, is that I really, really like those patterns because it feels almost like you're wearing a really nice piece of jewelry. Like it just frames your face. It brings attention to the most beautiful parts of your face, which is all of your face. But it's a really good statement piece to have in your wardrobe. It's very versatile. You can just wear it with solid colors, jeans. I wear mine over dresses. It's just, I've come to love really nice color work yoke designs. So I have paused on this because I have to wind up another skein of this yarn, and I don't know what it is about that small little task that makes me want to go like, oh, I can't finish this project for weeks because I just have to pull out my yarn winder, and it's a really simple task. I could do it in 5 minutes, which I'm going to do today, but yeah, I'm being very dramatic about it. And the reason why I have to wind up another one, I do have enough to finish a sleeve, but I have learned when using solid colors, which I'm using this red-orange color, I have learned that when using solid colors like this, even though they are solid colors, each skein can absorb the dye differently, even if they are in the same dye lot. And I have had blocky sweaters, which you've seen in my past videos, and I can't really wear those out in I mean, I can, but I just feel a little embarrassed about it. So I've learned my lesson, and I alternate my skeins. So I have 2 balls of the same color, and I will do one row with one of the balls of yarn, and then another row with another ball of yarn. And so that way it all just kind of blends together. And I really do like this. It is pretty true to color what I'm seeing on the screen, so I really do like it. I'm gonna try it on. I believe I have the right side. I'll just try it on really quick so you can see what It's really great. I only have one sleeve done. And it is kind of like a balloon sleeves, so to speak, like it balloons out near the wrist. But it's, ooh, my hair, hello. It's really beautiful. It really frames the color. Oh, it gives me the motivation. When I put this on and I try it on, it gives me the motivation to start the other sleeve, which I'll be doing that tonight. I can't wait any longer. I do love the sleeve and how it kind of balloons out. Like I mentioned, it has those balloon sleeves and it kind of goes up to the wrist. I'm very proud of myself that I measured out the length of the arm correctly, and it sits perfectly on my wrist where, you know, I can still see my watch without having to move my arm, or I can still be, you know, cooking or something and I don't have to roll up my sleeves. It fits right where it's supposed to. And I did pre-wash these yarns just because one of them kind of smelled a little bit more woolly than I was comfortable with knitting, and so I just pre-washed them and dried them, like air dried them, and so they kind of already had, and I wound them twice, so they kind of stretched out a little bit, so when blocking it's still gonna have some flexibility, but it won't be very dramatic. So yeah, a few things about this pattern that I didn't do the bobbles, because one, where the sweater hits at the bottom, there's a row of bobbles, and I would have sat on the bobbles, and I was wondering if that would be uncomfortable. And two, I just really didn't want to, because the thought of like doing a bobble over a few stitches, like over and over down at the bottom of this color work, and it was already taking so long. This is fingering weight yarn, so it's very thin, and it's maybe like, I believe it's like 200 stitches for the body, or 400 or something, somewhere between 200 and 400. And I was like, you know, I'll say no to that, and I'll just make my life easier and just not do the bobbles, which is totally fine. It looks great either way. That's what I like about knitting, is you can make like your own decisions about what is for you and what isn't, and it's okay. But I really do love it. I really love the yoke. It's great. And we will start this baby later today, so I can actually wear this. It is getting cooler here, and by cooler I mean it's not death when you wake up. It's not 90 degrees when you wake up. It was 68 the other day, and it got up to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, but at least it's cooling off, and you can really tell. So this is again the Talvinen sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I just love really good yokes. Sorry my hair's, I'm not sorry, but I feel like we need to give my hair a new name. This is her, this is what she does, it's just whatever. So those are my works in progress, a few things that I have picked up. I went to my little yarn shop, which is Hill Country Weavers, and I love that place. I'd never been to a yarn store that big before, and it's just rooms of yarn, and it's beautiful. And that's where I got my Le Bien Ami yarn for the first time. My first spin cycle yarn is from there. It's just all these magical things that I learned on the internet are at that shop, and when they finally opened up for visitors, that was like the first thing I did. I didn't go to I was just like, go to the dentist, why? Go to the eye doctor, why? When I can go to the yarn store first. Priorities. I bought 2 books that I've been wanting to get since they've come out, but I've resisted. The first one is this Pom Pom. It's their summer 2021, which was actually shot in Austin. I know exactly where they went, because they've been there plenty of times. It's kind of cool when you see like your city in a magazine, and it's a knitting magazine, and I kind of fangirled over that. And I really fangirled over this. So what I wanted to share was the sweater that I was going to use Le Bien Ami's, my new Le Bien Ami yarn, which I'll show in a little bit. And it's this sweater right here. It's called Lodestar, and I just freaking love it so much. it seems like it will be an easy, fast sweater because it is a DK weight, and those go by really fast because the yarn is thicker for the DK weight. And I will be using a wool instead of I believe this is a cotton blend. You can use whatever yarn you want with any pattern, but I would advise probably doing a swatch before you do that so you can see how the yarn acts. Is it like flowy? Like what kind of garment are you gonna get? And then compare it to the picture if you're really set on, I want it what was in the picture, how is that garment gonna compare with the yarn that you have? But I'm pretty confident that wool will be okay. But this is the sweater. Look at her. I'm really excited to knit this one on. Also, I pick out pattern books based on how many patterns do I want to knit out of this book, and because I don't want to buy a book if I'm only going to knit one pattern, but I also want to knit this one. And there's like maybe 5 things in here that I want to knit. They're all beautiful. They're all jewel tones, which I'm pretty sure probably most of them are jewel tone, like this tank right here. Someone knit this. It's really beautiful. And that's my favorite color, is like this kind of like hunter green color. Yeah, probably will knit it in the same color too. So I'm really excited about this book. Casting on that sweater, which will be my winter sweater. It'll be nice because, even though it will get cold here in Austin, it won't get that cold for that many days in a row. We might have, if we have a snowpocalypse again, which most likely will happen. We had snow 3 times this year and it was strange. We won't get into that. That stresses me out. But if, I will be able to wear sweaters, end of story. I did it last year, it was glorious, and I felt glamorous because it was mine, etc. I also picked up Strands of Joy by Joanna. Is it Joanna? If it is not a Mexican name, it's really hard for me to pronounce. I am Mexican. Anna John. Trying to say my name after I got married took years to say it right. No, I'm exaggerating. It took months. I always felt like I was saying it wrong. That's another story for another day. I bought this book because, again, there's so many patterns in here that I really, really enjoy, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I'm a collector of beautiful books, so this was great to add to my collection. There's so many great, like, there's so many great statement pieces with like color work in the yoke area. Like this one right here took my breath away. Well, like this one right here is really beautiful, and I do want to knit this. It's called Sprout, and hello, so beautiful. I mean, they have simple yoke patterns, but are still really beautiful. And they're not called yoke patterns. It's just color work in the yoke area, I believe is what you say. I still don't know the terms very well. I don't speak knit very often. I don't have a lot of knitter friends in the Austin area, which I plan on changing this year. But this one is another one that I really enjoy. And I mean, there's more than enough to go around here. There's cardigans in here. I haven't knit a cardigan yet, which I don't know if I'll like or not. Oh, this one right here too is really beautiful. It's called Reed. It's just so wonderful. I'm really going to enjoy this book and knitting patterns out of this after I finish my Talvinen sweater, which will happen. Dang it, I will finish it. I also have on my projects list to knit a shawl, which for my friend who lives in Canada, and she will need one, and that's coming up soon. I have to look up the pattern, I decided, but it'll be a good one. It'll be a good one. These are not really new, I will say. I got them before I left my full-time job in March. I was like, you did it, purchase. And as a reward for starting my new business, which is Filter and Beam, and you should go check out that YouTube channel because I will be making a knit stained glass piece there, which I'm starting on that today. It's going to be really beautiful for all you knitters that want to add something to your stash room or your craft room. That's going to be it. You're welcome ahead of time. Okay, so I purchased this before, probably around May, and I've always heard people talk about La Bien-Aimée yarns, and I know that she recently sold her, or had to close her coffee shop, this beautiful yellow building, which is, I mean, I have a yellow. I love the color yellow, and it was the perfect yellow, and I really wished I could have visited. I'm so sad it's closed now, but I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and I've always wanted to buy some of her yarns. It just hadn't worked out until I was ready to reward myself at my little yarn shop, which is Hill Country Weavers, and they had La Bien-Aimée in stock, and I was able to, you know, touch the yarn, make sure I wanted to buy it. Like, you should really go to a little, like a yarn shop and be able to feel the yarns, see if they're gonna work for you, and if it feels good on your skin, all that kind of stuff. And I was able to try it, and I was like, oh, I really want to buy this freaking yarn, and it was a reward, so I splurged and I bought it as a congratulatory pat on the back for opening a business / going for my dream, all of those things. So without further ado, this is going to be for that sweater in the Pom Pom magazine that I showed you. So this is going to be for Lodestar, and I am using the color Jana in Merino Sport, and it's, oh yeah, it looks like this in person. It's that green, also has like a little bit of variegated kind of color to it. It has this beautiful sheen almost, and I believe it's a 2-ply yarn. It is superwash, which I don't usually knit with superwash, but it does feel good. It doesn't feel like slimy like some kind of superwash yarns do. You know what I'm talking about if you knit with that before. And then I also paired it with a mohair silk. Mohair silk does not irritate my skin like pure mohair does. Like if they add a little bit of silk, it just feels very soft, and also in the color Jana. So it is 70% mohair and 30% silk, and it is also extremely beautiful. If you are new to buying indie yarn diary yarn, does that make sense? God. If you're new to buying yarn from little yarn shops, and they're from small dyers, one thing that I learned, and it's, in a lot of resources that are available to you, like in Vogue Knitting, any kind of like knitting vlogs, or just knitters sharing this information, but even if they use the same color to dye, the yarns, like if they use the same amount of dye and the same color for this kind of yarn and this kind of yarn, the color will be absorbed differently based on the fiber content. So if it is a protein-based fiber, which is what which is a fiber from an animal like sheep, they call it protein-based fiber. Organic fibers like cotton, bamboo, things like that, and then synthetic fibers, which are like your nylons, things like that. They will all absorb color differently. And so it's really important, what I found is that it's really important to go into person, to look at the colors, to make sure that they will be okay together, which I think it's still going to look lovely with these two colors blended together. They are the same color way. They are the same colorway, but still you can tell the difference. It's just a little bit, one's a little bit more sheeny, and you put them together. Another thing you can do when you're in your yarn shop is, I think I learned this from Stephen West, you just take 2 strands together and you kind of like, from each yarn, you kind of put them together and you can see how they're gonna like react with each other in that little sample that you kind of twist. I'm very excited about this. Now that I have been on a spin cycle kick of what it's like to have yarn that changes color while you're knitting it, or maybe an ombre effect or marled yarn effect, which is when 2 different color yarns are put together. Well, you can do that with 2 different skeins. I digress. We can talk about marled yarn on a different day. But I got some ombre yarns as well on my visit, and this is Freya hand painted yarn, which it's made out of 100% cruelty-free US merino, and I got their color Maple Way and their lace weight. I got the colorway Conchinilla, the same thing, lace weight, and then I also got a alpaca silk lace ombre, which, so this is the Conchinilla colorway, and it's like a gray, goes into purples and this bright pink, and this is the alpaca silk one. The thing about alpaca is like it'll be a little bit airier when you knit it, just the way the alpaca fibers work together with each other. Yeah, alpaca silk lace. And then this is the same colorway, but in the lace weight, which is the US merino wool base. You can see like the details. I really want to do a sweater with a really great yoke pattern on it, something that's a statement piece with this. And then I also got this. This is something that I don't usually have in my stash, these kinds of colors. This one's called Maple, this colorway, and it's like this brown. I do wear this color a lot. I don't wear a lot of these kind of tan colors and browns because my skin tone is warm, and sometimes these will make me look like I'm walking around naked. Which, I mean, sure, if that's your thing, cool. I wish I had the confidence to do it. I just end up being a little bit self-conscious about it. Like, I'm just kind of blending in. Like, I'm getting I don't really like a lot of that kind of attention to myself. But put me in a karaoke room, I'll like that kind of attention to myself. I'm really excited about these. This one I think will go really good for a shawl. Maybe? I don't know. But I love having these kind of stare at me in the stash room, so that I can be inspired to find a pattern to knit with them with. But I know it will be something that I will work on this year as well. So that's that's it. That's all I have to share. This is my first time doing this in a long time, and I know that with practice I will get more, I will stop saying so much, and I will be able to talk a little bit more fluently. This is definitely practice to kind of get me over my nerves of trying to meet new knitters in the community. After being vaccinated, I feel definitely more safe to go do so. I'm really excited to just kind of get back out there, and while the weather is cool and beautiful in Austin, which is coming up very soon, and getting to know new knitters. And so if you are in the Austin area, feel free to comment below. I would love to maybe start a group of all of us knitting. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there if you want. If you have an existing knitting group, I would really love to join. Yeah, so that's all I have today. If you would be so inclined to hit subscribe and like this video, it helps me get more videos out to more eyes out in the YouTube world. And I would really just like to start a really nice knitting community where we share our ideas, our works, and just talk a lot about yarns and things that we love about knitting, which is why we're here, really, right? So thanks for joining me on Knit Talk, and I look forward to doing this again very soon. See you guys next time.